Okay, I don't know why this doesn't exist yet, but this is going to be a tutorial on how to properly chart drums for Clone Hero. So I've got Clone Hero pulled up. It's playing just silence right now, but this is just to demonstrate exactly what everything is. So the red note, we're going to go in order here. So it goes red, yellow, blue, and green. And these drums go in the order that you would guess. So this right here, the red one, that is the snare. This one right here, the yellow one, that is the high tom. This one, the blue one, is a low tom. And then this one right here is a floor tom. They all go in order, like that. And then you have the set three cymbals. The red doesn't have an extra cymbal for it. I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing. Probably not. But we have the yellow cymbal here. That's the hi-hat. We have the blue cymbal. That's the ride. And then we have the green cymbal right here. That's the crash. Again, these three go in order. So if you look at the picture, you'll see exactly what everything maps to. Oh, and of course we have the kicks. But the kicks are pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, if you look at that picture, you'll see the colors that everything maps to. There will be drums that share lanes. The yellow cymbal and yellow drum, the blue cymbal and blue drum, the green cymbal and the green drum, they all share a lane. But they have different note textures, so it should be easy to differentiate between the two. So that's the basis of physical drums to Clone Hero drums. It maps out pretty straightforward. Okay, so now we have Moonscraper pulled up. For this example, I'm going to use my latest song, Light Year, because it already has a backing track, and I'm just going to be honest, I don't want to make a whole new drum track, so we're going to use this one. I've deleted all the notes in the expert chart so that I could just re-chart it accurately, so I can show off exactly like every nuance there is to charting these drums, because there's a lot of weird stuff. So the main thing that you're going to want to do at first is just kind of listen through the drum beat and try to get that groove. So you're just spending that time listening in, trying to figure out the drum beat. This one is a fairly simple beat, relatively. So you'll notice how it starts. It doesn't start with that drum beat. It starts with like a fill at the start. Those are all toms, starting here. So like in that example from the little live example I did, you have your four main notes, which kind of just look like, you know, your standard notes. To differentiate between those and the actual cymbals, there is a cymbal modifier that you could turn on that makes them like this weird holographic note. These are all cymbals. So these are the toms and the snare. These are all cymbals. And then for kicks, those will just be like, they look like open notes, because that's kind of essentially what they are. But here they're purple, in-game they're going to be orange, or whatever color you have it set to your color profile, but that doesn't matter. What matters here is we're going to be using these 8 notes to chart this little drum groove that we got accurately. So let's go ahead and get that fill out of the way first. Starts off with just toms. Okay, so it sounds like it's syncopated, so let's do this. Now you can hear that there's 4 different pitches, but there's only 3 toms. For now, you can kind of just make it work, kind of like how you would in charting guitar, because not every note's going to map exactly 100%. Okay, there's nothing there, so then we start with this simple drum groove. Now, if you think about it, this is kind of just like, it's almost 4 on the floor with some extra hi-hats in there. So there's some extra flavor. So there's a kick. Let me chart that accurately. There's a kick on every single beat. Now, yeah, you can kind of see how that would work for those kicks. What I would recommend doing is, because drums are very repetitive in nature, I mean, they kind of have to be in order to get that groove, chart like every 2 measures at a time, copy paste is going to be your friend. Like, it'll help you chart this entire thing very, very quickly, assuming that the drum groove is somewhat the same. Like, it can change throughout the song, but like copy pasting the groove is going to be very easy. You can chart drums very fast. Okay, so it sounds like it also starts with a crash. So we're going to want to turn on the cymbal, turn on that, turn it to there, and there we go. Keep it on cymbal, put it on the hi-hat side. Remember that hi-hat is yellow. I'm going to chart at 4 on the floor for right now, so we can get it. Fill in the rest of it later. Alright. Next we get the snares. The snare doesn't have a cymbal, so it'll just automatically go to the solid note. Like that. And already this is coming together pretty quick. Okay, so it sounds like that has a double. These two. So now if we listen back. That's accurate. That's already done. Copy all this. I'm going to get rid of this crash because there's not a crash there. Ah, there's a difference there. It moves up. Did you hear that cymbal? That sounds a little bit longer than normal. That is still a hi-hat, but it's open. Clone Hero doesn't really have a way of charting an open hi-hat. But what some people like to do, and this is also what I like to do, you'll notice on this list down here there's double kicks, which don't apply here. We'll get to those in a second. Accents and ghosts. Ghost notes and accents are essentially velocity. They're velocity dependent in Clone Hero, which is a really cool feature for Clone Hero to have. Accents mean you have to hit the drum much harder in order for the note to actually like hit and go into a combo, and ghost is the opposite. You want to hit that as soft as you can. But that's not required for most Clone Hero gameplay unless you have, I think it's called Deadly Dynamics. If you have that modifier turned on, then this stuff will actually matter for velocity. But for general cases, it'll just be like a visual, like just make sure you hit this one harder or softer or whatever. But what I like to do is with these notes that hold a little bit longer, these open hi-hats, I accent it because this will visually look different in the game. Like that. And of course, once we get to the finished product, quote unquote, I'll show you exactly what it looks like from this perspective to Clone Hero. But now we can just copy paste again. Scroll all the way to the end here. Let me check something. That's a different crash. Of course, all this stuff is up to you. This crash is different, so I'm going to move it over to the blue, the ride, just because it has a different particular sound, but also so it adds a little bit more variety. You're hitting a different cymbal, getting all the other drums in there, making sure you're getting full use of all the drums. Of course, you don't have to. You can chart it however you like. It does sound like a crash, so you could, of course, put it on the crash, but I'm going to move it to the ride just to get some other cymbals in there. That's different. It's very similar to charting guitar, because you're trying to listen back and make sure everything is accurate and correct. You can hear that there's a fill there. Okay, so we know it's going to end off on the kick and the crash. So we know it's going to end there. So we have a little bit of a fill going into the next section with these toms. So let's give it a listen. Okay, so toms start here. And it sounds like they're going down. Okay, that sounds right. So then we get the kicks here. I guess 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go. It's just a lot of playing it back and forth, just constantly. I think this was a cymbal. By the way, the hotkey for the cymbal is C. Very easy to access. And then this one's also a hi-hat, but this one is accented, so we'll turn that on. Put an accent note there. And then, yeah, that's a pretty basic fill, but... And then it just keeps going on like normal. So again, we'll copy-paste this section. Again, that's different. And see, we have already charted most of it. That's a different fill. So this is very similar. Just use your ears and really make sure that you get every little detail. And also you have to make sure that the drums flow well into each other. You kind of can't just sloppily put notes around, especially during these fills. You want to make sure that the movement of the sticks and the movement of your hands, it helps like if you like kind of move your hands around with like fake drums in front of you, but like just move your hands like if you had drumsticks in your hands and try and make it flow well. Because otherwise it's going to be really technical and really challenging to play. And if you're trying to make like a simple beat, then that's not going to be very very fun or very friendly. So like you would hit this tom with the right stick, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And since the crash is on the right side, you might as well hit it with your right hand. So let's go back to that. Oh, and something I should mention. The hi-hat and the snare and the kick. Obviously, those are like the most important drums out of everything in this example. But the hi-hat will always be, not always, but it usually is hit with the right hand and the snare is hit with the left hand. So that'll give you an idea of where, like the hand positions of where everything's at. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Ride, you can hit that with your right hand too. It's a lot of leading with the right hand if you're right hand dominant. If you're left hand dominant, it's probably leading with the left, but again, you kind of just have to play around with your own hands and try to make sense of it. I think, from what I'm hearing, those kicks are exactly the same. So, boom, 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 yeah. It's just that the toms are different now. Da-da-da. Ba-da-da. Yeah. Da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Crash. Now you can hear that there's a lot going on here. There's a lot more drums than is being charted here. If we wanted to be totally accurate, we could also put the accented hi-hat here. But then you kind of have this weird like crossbreed of like, there's a lot of stuff going on. So in terms of stuff like this, if there's a lot of stuff like this happening, and there's even more drums in the background, don't worry so much about charting it absolutely 100% accurately unless you want that. For ease of play, I'll emit some drums so that it just like that flow. Again, it's that flow. I want it to be very simple, not very simple, but it'll be easier asterisk to play than if every drum was exactly 100%. Because you also have to consider drums are going to be different in rock music, metal music, or electronic music especially. This is electronic. There's a lot more drums happening all at once than a typical player would usually be able to play. So you kind of have to keep that in mind too. Again, it's very nuanced, unfortunately. But overall, charting the drums, I believe, is significantly easier than charting guitar. So if we listen through here. So far, so good. Ah, okay, so I charted that wrong. Ah. Again, it's important to go back and make sure that you get all of those details. So now that there's no note here, I am going to put that accented hi-hat there. Okay. One more shot for good luck. Ooh, that was weird. Ah, so I realized I've made an error. This kick belongs here. It has that boom, 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 boom. I think I've missed that every time, so I'm sorry if that made you go absolutely insane. Oh, weird. It's gone there. Okay. Okay, there is a kick there. Okay. That sounds good. I'm going to do one more copy paste of this section. Put there. Okay, so you can hear that this is building up to the next section. And then it'll just keep going on that beat. But this is different. This actually brings up another topic, which is good. But let's get there in a sec. So we got a chart. It sounds like just the kicks and the hi-hats. Okay, cool. Let's get those hi-hats in there. Yes, they actually do want to be accented. Nope, symbol. There we go. Because those are open. Okay, you can hear the kick and the snare both are going absolutely nuts there. So we're going to try and take this apart piece by piece so that we can chart this accurately. Okay, I think I understand the kicks now. These are very fast. And usually with the kicks, unless they're way too fast to hit with normally, I do chart them accurately. And I'll show why. I'm actually doing it incorrectly, but I'm just trying to get them laid out so I can show you exactly what needs to be done. Okay, there's those kicks. Ooh, I'm on 48s. I need to be on 30 seconds. Okay, so you can see these kicks are really close together, and if you have only one foot pedal, this is not going to be possible by any stretch. So thankfully, there is like an Expert Plus mode that you can turn on in the modifiers of Clone Hero and everywhere else. That's the double kick. So if you happen to have 2 kick pedals, this is excellent. You can chart it to where these little 2X's will go above the kick. So if you have the modifier turned on, these kicks will be here. If not, these won't be here. So you can chart it accurately, but just make sure that whenever you're exporting the drum chart, that for people who only have 1 pedal, consider them too, because they're not going to be able to hit all of these kicks with 1 foot. I mean, they could if they're absolute gods at drums, but I'm sure they wouldn't be playing Clone Hero. Well, actually, you know what? No, I take that back. Regardless, if you're charting the drums, make sure that everything is going to be hittable with at least 1 foot. If you're going to want more than just the 1 foot pedal for the kicks, make sure you have this double kick turned on and make sure to utilize them. Typically, you're going to want to use them every other kick. You can see I have a stream of 3 here, but that's mainly because of how fast these are. That's kind of just a thing I do. If the drums are a bit too fast for 1 foot, for like the casual user, because I'm a casual drummer. I'm not even really a drummer. I just play Clone Hero drums. But I'm definitely a casual player, and that's who I chart for, is the casual players. I still chart it accurately so people could hit this however the hell they want. But I just try to make it easier for people who don't have the extra peripherals and stuff like that. Okay, so we have this build up done here. And then it sounds like we have accented open hi-hats sharing with these kicks. I'm going to end this with a kick and a crash. Oop, let me turn off that double. We're going to end the chart there so that we don't end up charting the whole thing. Okay. You can hear that there's extra toms in there. Okay, so when does the... starts here. So it sounds like... oh, turn off the accents, my bad. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that feels good. One thing I'm going to add, you can see that there's a stream of snares here. This isn't particularly hard, but I'm going to show off one more little feature that I really like, and that's roll lanes. So this looks a bit strange. You can see that the snares now have this weird like red highlight under them. So what a roll lane essentially is that you can overhit the crap out of that lane and you won't miss, because it's supposed to be like you're supposed to roll the drumsticks and like make a consistent noise there. So I'm going to leave that as that. It kind of works like just a sustain. You could think of it like a sustain. It just sustains a certain type of drum. It could be a cymbal, the snares, or a tom. It really doesn't matter. But you just roll on that lane. It won't let you miss as long as you're hitting it. Okay, so that feels good. So now we're going to get into the Starpower, which is very confusing, I'll be honest. So you can see that there's 2 modes. There's the standard Starpower mode. You know it. This is very standard. But then you have this drum fill activation, which is very strange. But if you go into Clone Hero, you'll see that as you're building up to actually like activate Starpower, there's going to be like this fade in of color depending on the drum that you're going to hit in order to actually activate the drums. That's what this drum fill activation is. It's that preparation to the last note of that phrase to actually activate Starpower. That sounds incredibly confusing, I'll admit, but it's a lot easier to see in practice. So first, let's actually get some Starpower phrases in here, because so far there's nothing. Cool. Get another one in there. Make it 8 measures. Okay. So now that we have 2 phrases, let's say we want those 4 beats right there. 2, 3, 4. We want those 4 beats to kind of like prep the player to activate. We want to activate right on this crash. That's actually why it says drum fill activation, because most of the time you're going to be activating right after you've hit a fill. This isn't the biggest fill ever, but yeah, say we want to end right on this crash, and we want to give the user about like 4 beats of prep for that. So if you turn on drum fill activation, you'll see it turns gold. This is not a standard star power phrase. This will not give you star power, but you can extend it. So the sustain here for the star power is that fade in to whatever the last note it lies on. Now this is something about Moonscraper I'm not the biggest fan of. You can see that it ends right on the bar line where the crash is, but the crash doesn't look any different. I kind of wish that the star power, like star, would end right here. Or like it would be different looking, because this is the note that's actually going to crash. If you have it at 2 ahead or early, it's not going to actually go anywhere because there's no drum associated with that specific position. It has to be exactly right onto the drum that you want to actually have be the activation point. Also, the other thing I don't like about Moonscraper is that it looks exactly the same as every other star power phrase. It needs to look different because this is not a star power phrase, this is an activation phrase. But anyway, let's copy what we have here. I'm gonna just copy paste exactly what we have here to the phrase right ahead of it. Now you can overlap star power, that is still a thing, it's very strange. Right, so here's another activation point, right to the crash. Let's put one more set of phrases for the build-up. And then it would end right there, and that crash right there would activate. So the star power is extremely weird, and you kind of have to get it exactly right. Otherwise, it's not going to work. But nonetheless, I think we've covered everything there is to know about charting drums. Mainly, unfortunately, it's very nuanced, and how people want to chart their drums is going to be completely up to them. But as like the fundamentals, what the drums are, what the notes mean, what you should do to actually chart it, the double kicks and the accents, all that stuff, that extra fun stuff is not necessary, but it can help add a lot more, like, I don't want to say flavor, because that's not the right word, but it'll add a lot more, like, life to a chart, especially with, like, the accents, the star power, and the rolls. It's just like... It helps it feel like you're actually playing the drums. But yeah, now that we have this charted, I'm going to go ahead and save it. We're going to export it as a Clone Hero package. Select the folder here. Everything's done. So now we can play this back, and then I'll have Clone Hero on the side of it, and then you can see exactly how it plays. Alright, so I hope this gave you a better understanding of how chart drumming works. Again, I don't know why something like this didn't exist already, considering that drums is becoming an ever-growing thing, especially here in the Guitar Hero community. But, you know, I hope this video did help out, and I hope people start charting drums more, because personally, I find it very fun, but also the player base for drums is growing. It might not grow as fast because finding a drum kit is pretty hard. Either you have to get one of these MIDI kits that I have, which can be expensive, or you have to find a Rock Band kit or Guitar Hero kit somewhere. Oh, there's one more thing I need to tell you before we end this off. Always chart in Pro Drums 4-lane mode. And the reason why you're going to want to do that is that Clone Hero will automatically have 5-lane compatibility. Like, it'll take the chart and it'll turn it into a 5-lane chart by itself for people who have a Guitar Hero drum set. And then it'll also turn Pro Drums into standard drums automatically if the person so desires. So always chart in Pro Drums, always chart in 4 lanes, because Clone Hero will already make those other charts for you. Other than that, that's how you chart drums. So thank you for watching. I hope this helped. Go play some drums, nerd.